All right, welcome back to the Twitchy Theologian. I'm your host, the Twitchy Theologian, aka Family Dollar James White, aka the Paladin Calvinist. And today we're going to be answering the question: D&D and Christianity compatible? Incompatible? Can Christians play D&D? And I may have a debate coming up on that with Reliant on Jesus. If he wants to smoke, y'all know he's been on my channel quite a bit. If he wants to catch wreck, we can get it. But we'll see how that goes. Today, I got my friend Ron coming on, storytelling Ron, and I'll let him introduce himself to you. And he's going to talk a little bit about his RPG, and he's going to help us answer that question. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, good. Yeah. I'm here, ready, drinking my coffee.
Yeah, I hear you. I got this here, Celsius Mandarin Marshmallow. They're not sponsors, but they help me survive.
Uh-huh.
But if they do want to sponsor, feel free to, Celsius. So, Storytelling Ron, how did you get your name, Storytelling Ron?
Because I like to tell stories, so I was just figuring out a way to do it. And I think obviously the greatest storyteller of all is God. So I'm trying to be like, what would Jesus do? Tell stories. But I don't think we can't go a day without telling a story, in our head and in what we do. We can go a day without water, food, without telling a story. That's something I kind of think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to tell people, history is really his story, and God has given us a character count or a word count for what we're writing in our story. I believe Psalm 139:16, he's written our story, but then we're also writing our story at the same time, and he's given us a word count, but we don't know the word count. So we need to be very intentional with every single word, every dialogue, every interaction that we have with individuals, because it's telling a story. So I like that. Could you tell us a little bit about, I looked on storytellingron.com and seen you have an RPG there that looked really, really interesting, especially to Christians. And I was hoping you could tell us like maybe your mindset behind it and what it's all about and all of that.
Yeah, well, I had made a YouTube channel. I got back into Dungeons and Dragons and just was having a blast with it, and my daughters and wife, and then started the YouTube thing during the COVID and lockdown. And then, I was just having a joyful, happy time with Dungeons and Dragons and all the other role-playing games. It really is an addictive, fun thing to just go into paganism, which, whether it's denigrating or not, it's paganism. And I get it. It's addictive. It's fun. You get that visceral Conan the Barbarian desire. The dungeon, get that dark, joyful sort of. It's not. It's not a Christian joy. It's just like this kind of a joy. You want to go into adventures and stuff. But it just became woke. Everything's becoming woke. The agenda is pushing gays and trans. The scale has been tipped so that they're really open and blatant about it now. It's not like it was before where they kept themselves under wraps and they were rebuked. We don't rebuke anymore. We affirm. And I just, at some point, I'm like, I got to take a side because they're forcing me to take a side. I literally didn't want to be a Christian, like evangelist or advocate. I just wanted to go to church and be happy and then do my happy games. I really, really was like that. It really was finally the trials and the God put before all of us that finally woke me up and made me realize I need to be a better steward of God and what he wants us to do. Because I can't just turn away, because evil will come in, and obviously it is. So yeah, in the RPG culture now, the pagans have taken it over. They are using it as an evangelist tool for them, for their own ways. And I just to jump on, I'm going to jump all around, but fantasy is actually something we Christians created. We created fantasy because for pagans it was real. They did not create those stories to have fun and entertainment. They created those stories as part of their religion. Elves, dwarves, giants, goblins, those are actual part of their tenets that you have to make offerings to, you have to appease, you have to fear, you have to live your life around that, myths, legends, and all. But we Christians, we took it and turned it into fun, silly fantasy. And I don't like that we Christians aren't using fantasy or aren't in control of it, because it's now become it's returned back into what it is for them, a religion to preach their way of living. And and pagans are just fine making it sort of Christian, sort of compassionate, sort of caring. As long as you take Jesus out of it, they're fine with the way they're portraying their paganism today, which is very Christian light. Just remove the Jesus part, and then say everything's fine. So anyway, so I just couldn't do that anymore. I'm gonna stop just so you can get me back on track. So about this.
No, go ahead. I'll interrupt if I need to get you back on track.
Good.
I see where you're going, so this is good.
Okay, so anyway, D&D, I couldn't do it anymore. I knew if I created content for D&D, I would never get to own it myself or allow Christians to be able to build off of that. And I did look around at other Christian stuff, and everything there's only a couple, and they were lacking in certain things that I still didn't figure out. It wasn't evolution. The only evolution I believe in is the way we work in our minds about evolution, not real evolution. But there was a process here where me figuring out everything I chose, every decision was me kind of being roadblocked or forced down that path. And so I ended up creating a role-playing game. To show the cover of one of them.
Nice. That's a sick cover, mirrored. I gotta say.
Yeah, I definitely paid an artist to do that, and this is called the Dark Ages. I don't know, I think it's mirrored on my thing, but For the Lord RPG. But and it's on Amazon, but the PDF of this very book is on my website for free, because I just wanted a role-playing game that's very D&D like, all the stuff that we love, rolling a D20, getting the other dice in there. It's very translatable or whatever as far as the thing. But I did make some rules adjustments, because I wanted, how you have like the 10th level cap or something like that in D&D?
Yeah.
Like you get to a certain point. I don't know. How familiar were you with Dungeons and Dragons? Okay.
Very. So I've played 3.5 and 5th edition. I've played Baldur's Gate 3 multiple times. Okay. My honor mode got ruined, and I'm angry about it. And I want to throw something even thinking about it now. But anyways, just calm down.
One rule I changed was I took out the levels in the 10th level, 15th level, because you really at that point get to become a little demigod, and that's very apropos to Greek mythology. So in mine, you really the dice rank. I have a dice rank and a dice rank system where, as you get more dice, they get more diffused. So you as a 10th or 20th level missionary can play with a new person jumping in, and you still feel the threat of things around. You can obviously still incrementally upgrade, because that's one of the addictions of role-playing game. Anyways, so I just, there's a lot of little things in there where I was trying to figure out how to make this a Christian role-playing game, and the biggest ones that I learned or figured out, but also taught me, was that evangelism and church planning, that is what it is to be a Christian. It's not about being a hero or being good or nice in a pagan game. Too many Christians say, "Oh, I play with the good morals. I pick a nice God." That is still, or whatever, heretical. That's not being nice is not a Christian. We're not here to be nice. We're here to spread the gospel and plant churches. And in that we're super nice. We're penultimate nice, because we're telling the truth. I definitely got a lot of resistance and rejections by Christians, because I thought I could appeal to veteran Christian role-playing people, but I did not. I got soundly rejected by every Christian who plays D&D or is familiar, has that in their library. I mean, I've got 2 players right now that are very regular that do come from it, but everyone else has rejected my, or this kind of concept, which is, we can have a D&D kind of game, but the characters need to be missionaries doing evangelism and church planning in the adventure. And I chose the 6th century Italy or Europe, because I wanted it to be relational with the Bible and with Earth and our timeline, and also with paganism and with all the myths and lores and legends. We have werewolves in here. We have, we have in the sense of pagan cults who believe in that stuff and drug themselves to carry that through. Steroids, whatever other drugs that cause them to go crazy will become whatever they want. Vampire, werewolves, and there's also feral demonic possession. So I feel like through a grim earth-based lens, you can still create the fantasy you want because of how crazy people can be in their cults. And with demonic possession, we certainly believe in ghosts and spirits and magic in that sense. So I don't have a problem with anyone creating a setting earth-based that's very, kind of edging towards Cthulhu or edging towards Vaesen or whatever, edging towards the Conan the Barbarian stuff. I don't mind that because we all got to have fun. But I still want it to be earth-based, biblical-based, missionary. You're going in there to actually, you're not going in there just to fight the dragon, which would be a Velociraptor or T-Rex or whatever. You're going in there to fight the dragon and then discover that they worship the dragon. So that adds a whole awesome layer of role playing. And then you got to. Then what if you fail the mission, the evangelism part of it? You got to fight them, and that's. I love to see the missionaries fail, because it doesn't matter if we succeed or fail for Christ. It really doesn't matter. God's got, right? God's got this. It doesn't matter if we. What matters is that we try, and we're not so sacred as to let's not do this or that. No, let's try this, let's try that, and go for it, because we are going to fail. We are as being Christians, we're going to fail, and God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit are still going to continue on with what the story. So, but we need to try and keep trying. So anyway, so I love it when they fail in the games because it's just kind of fun and humorous, but and humbling, and then they got to come back around and try again and stuff like that, and whatever they're doing. So I have a blast at it. It's definitely a hard sell. My market is, very tiny. It keeps getting smaller and smaller. But now, and whatever, I'm just going to keep doing it. So.
Yeah. And I like the concept of it because like I've been gaming since I was like 12. Right. And I really enjoy Dungeons and Dragons. I love the adventure behind it. I love the leveling up, the gaining power, the being able to pretend that you're somebody that you're really not, but my wife, she comes from a New Age background. Before she was a Christian, she was a New Ager. And so when she's looking at all this, it freaks her out a little bit. She's like, it makes me uncomfortable. And I've tried to get her into it, and I tried to make a D&D type thing. We're like, hey, you're going to this place. You're more of a missionary, but there's like zombies along the way, and you're fighting the zombies, and then you're going to try to convert this people group or whatever. I've tried that, but it didn't work out as well as I liked. And then I ran across your material. Actually, I was talking to Hunter, aka Spidey. He's called Monk on YouTube, and I have interacted with him quite a bit. He's been on my channel a lot, and he told me about your stuff, and I found it really interesting, and it's something that I want to get my wife into because I want my kids to be able to grow up and play games like me and my dad did. That's some of the best times that I have. Like, hey, Dad, you remember when we were Drow and we like raided that city or whatever, and like whatever. It was little fun stuff like that I can talk to my dad about, or remember us sitting there playing Magic the Gathering for hours at a time. But having a Christian alternative, especially one that is Bible centered and it's gospel centered as well, focused on spreading the gospel and planting churches and all that. We can have those fun times together as a family without me having to stop and explain everything about why this game pretends this, but we don't actually believe that,
Well, yeah. Why do we have to exclude Jesus from it? I mean,
Right.
And I don't like that explanation too. It's like, well, it's a fantasy. Well, why is every other God and every other thing in there, but not Jesus? They have everything else in there, but Jesus, and
Yeah.
so that was, and then of course the follow through of that is, well, if I bring in Jesus, they might kick me out. I'm like, exactly. You've just answered it for yourself. Nobody wants to bring in Jesus because they're afraid they're going to get kicked out of that game. And, well, yeah. So now what? Now you choose, so I just want us to the gospel to be on our lips, easily, readily, anywhere and everywhere. And why not in the game? Why not? We're role playing. We're practicing. We're drilling. Role playing is practicing. It's practicing your socializing, practicing your fellowship. So why Christ in that then? And role playing is so active and interactive. Why are we taking out Christ then? We should really. I really want us to offend everybody and be separated, and then let them see the difference between Christian role playing groups and non-Christian role-playing groups and see the insanity that rises from one, and then the calmness that permeates the other. And we're not doing that. We're going into their groups, and then we're silencing ourselves willingly. And I just want to wake us up to that. And I recently woke up to that. It's not been long. And it's taught me how to really be a Christian. Through it. I went to my church, Grace Community Church, or my previous church, because I moved to a smaller church to help them because of this game. I wanted to help. Grace Community Church under, the late Pastor John MacArthur, really big, 30, 40 minutes away from me. So I only did kind of the nominal stuff. And I realized I wanted to be more, because of this game and because of we're role playing and doing this missionary stuff. I wanted to be more active in my church. And so I've gotten way more active now. And it feels like an adventure, not a chore or boring or whatever. Like I worked on this, I have this hand. I worked on a little Christian tract for them and made little bookmarks. I'm kind of getting like excited about it, like a GM almost. And I'm going to get a group going at some point. I'm being patient. Anyway, so when I went to the Grace Community, because of this game, they had a missionary conference. So I went to that because I wanted to learn what the missionaries were doing, because they had a big conference. And the biggest thing I learned is that you got to do your mission or ministry through a church. You can't go out and just do your own thing. That's not what Christians are meant to do. They're meant to be part of a church that does things together. And I'm like, dang, that's, because I was doing this by myself and not at my church. And I'm like, dang, that's, I have not really been really helping the church or really part of a church. And I'm complaining about all these problems around here, but all these churches here in Hollywood are all progressive and they're all sold out. And I found one that isn't. It's connected to Grace. And they're small and we're surrounded. And here I am complaining, why is everything around here gay, LGBT, whatever, but so are the churches. So I'm like, well, maybe it's because I'm not helping, because I'm not part of a church that's pushing back against it, So to me, my game taught me that, or, my pursuit of this game and how it works. So another thing I want to say real quick, let you have the spot. I got children to say the gospel. That is in the game. That is the best awesome thing ever. They said it terribly, but I could tell they've articulated it for the first, like they didn't even feel this coming out of their mouths. The trying to say something about God or Jesus. They've never even said that in their lives. And then for them to try it in the game was fantastic. I've had like 6 or 8 now, that I've out of the 6 or 8 that I've play tested with kids, with their families, kind of thing. So every one of them has done it. And I want to continue that with them, somehow figure out it for the youth. And I'm working on like simpler game system, but I'm just, right now I'm like so focused on the church and getting that going, and it's exciting. And I never thought of church like that. And the game has really helped me do that. So
nice. Yeah. And I appreciate that, because I think it would be really exciting to be sitting down at the table with my kids, and all of a sudden they're like sharing this, spreading the gospel, even if it's fictional. It's preparing them for what they're going to face in the real world. And like,
You're preparing them
yeah,
with a game, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, it's scary. It's scary to proclaim the gospel in the real world. Like, sometimes you get cussed out. I've been flicked off multiple times. I've been kind of, I guess people have been somewhat threatening, but not really. Not really. I mean, it's kind of rare actually for people to get super hostile, but it happens and it's scary. But the game preps them for that, and it teaches them courage, boldness, wisdom,
Patience.
patience, and you got to be wise about how you're evangelizing people. Like, the message remains the same, but the way you say it might be a little different to different people. So, for instance, if somebody really appreciates bluntness, they got more of a Klingon kind of style to them. You know, I'm just gonna be like, dude, if you don't repent, you're gonna rot in hell for all eternity, bro. Like, just be like blunt. They might like that. Whereas if they're more squishy and soft, I'm going to hit them with a little more of the love of God's side instead of the wrath of God's side, but still not changing the message, just kind of like putting it in words that they could appreciate more. And so I think it helps with all of that. So I really appreciate that. So it seems like you've kind of answered the question a little bit. Can Christians, can Christians play D&D? Is D&D and Christianity compatible?
No.
All right. So we got to know there. So I'm a little bit different.
Go ahead.
I'm a little bit different. I'm gonna say yes, because like you said, Christians created the fantasy type stuff. You got Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, and then even Gary Gygax, who created Dungeons and Dragons. He was like a Jehovah's Witness, but left, and I think maybe was. I'm not sure if he was Christian or not. I need to look into that, but I think he was.
Yeah, I think he died Christian. But back then, you got to remember in the 80s, there was not really good apologetics, and there was not a good evangelism understanding as like or access to that kind of knowledge we have today. There was kind of a lacking of that. You know what I mean?
And I'm just saying, I'm just talking from a history standpoint. Like, as far as my argument as to why, I don't want to give away too much, because me and Relying on Jesus might be debating on this. But like, you don't necessarily have to throw all their gods in there if it makes you uncomfortable to have all that in pretending. And sure, you could make Yahweh the supreme deity of the earth, but even then it wouldn't be perfectly parallel, because you as the game master are highly controlling what's going on in that world, or dungeon master, however you want to say it. You would be highly controlling it, whereas I think God is sovereign, so he's in control of everything that's occurring. So it would be different in that sense, but I guess you'd be looking at it from more of a human perspective. I just think there's a way that we could do it. I'm encouraging healthy alternatives like your game, and I think that ultimately, as far as for your family, that's going to be more beneficial. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's inherently sinful for Christians to get together and play Dungeons and Dragons or something like that.
No, I don't think it's that. I just think that it's like you're not bearing fruits then, in the sense, because you're spending all the time with a pagan thing, as opposed to you could be spending time with the fellowship and a Christian thing or church thing or whatever. So it's more of a that kind of thing.
I had some. I'm sorry, just real quick. I had me and some buddies. We all went to Bible college together, and we met together. This was actually at Bible college, and we would play there, and there were times where I would say it was a very, very good fellowship, and it was helpful. We would talk beforehand, and sometimes counsel one another, and even pray beforehand. So that was, I could say that it was beneficial in that setting, but very few settings are like that, I think.
Yeah, I just, it's just extremes, I guess. We're kind of being pushed to extremes today, in the D&D or RPG culture. So I have to respond to that, not the happy dappy culture we used to have when we did RPGs. And nobody came up to you with woke ideology and kicked you out of conventions and didn't allow you to be part of the publishing and stuff. So I just feel like we're being forced. We're being sorted now. So, and I think maybe God is obviously part of that, being sorted. We're being sorted that way. If you could play D&D and you add Jesus, you add evangelism and church planning, I will have a hard time arguing against that. But Jesus got to be in there. I mean, if you want to replace it with other things, that's to me that's getting syncretic or whatever, getting to paganism. So that's why I chose earth-based.
And I would even argue that you could remain biblical and still have these other deities, but just say they're like fallen. They are, because they're fallen angels. They're demonic forces. Which, I mean, I think if we read the scripture personally, I think that we see that talked about. Have you heard of Michael Heiser? I like a lot of his stuff. He talks about the heavenly council and how certain Deuteronomy 32, certain at the Tower of Babel, God divided the nations and set up angels over there, and they're called principalities and powers in the New Testament. And he's like, you're gonna be like little vice regents here, and you're gonna rule well. If not, you're gonna be punished. And well, they don't. Daniel's over here praying, and Gabriel comes to him, and he's like, sorry, I was fighting the Prince of Persia, the demonic power there, and Michael had to come and help me out and rescue me, and then now I'm here. Sorry, that's why it took a while. And then in the New Testament, we see Jesus has all authority over all of them, and he has put to shame the principalities and powers at the cross. So I think that you could like weave that in, because I think there's places in the world that still there's a lot of demonic influence going on, and I think that you could maybe imagine going over there on a missionary thing, and you're encountering this a lot of craziness that would maybe mesh with a fantasy type world.
Yeah, well, as long as it's about us, boots on the ground, doing missionary work and evangelism, the whole angels and the principalities and all that, I just don't know. I don't really like it. Just doesn't interest me because it doesn't feel like it's part of the church and missionary work that we are set out to do. The bride of Christ is the church. So I just focus on that because I can't do multitask all these different aspects of especially of the mysteries of the Bible, like the angels and that. So
to be fair, that's not our realm. Like, I'm not saying we as Christians need to go over there and like, I bind you.
Well, even the RPG, right. Yeah. I get it. You can totally do it. Some people might be, that's their thing. And I know another guy that has been working on an angel versus demon deal, that exactly what you described there. But it just doesn't interest me because I feel like I'm on boots on the ground and I'm seeing the sin all around me, and and the church is failing. So that's kind of where I'm at, or focused, or whatever.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that focus, and it's something that I need to talk. I've talked to my wife about it a little bit, but after she sees this interview, she'll definitely want to look into it more, and we'll discuss the game, and we might run it ourselves, and then as our kids get older, continue on. And I have a little brother who really enjoys RPGs and stuff, but again, like you're saying, there's a lot of danger there, especially for young impressionable minds. Like in Baldur's Gate 3, I've played through it. I think I've beat it twice or close to, I can't remember, but I've played it a bunch, and every time I've got dudes hitting on me in the game and chicks, and it will show nudity in the game. So you have to, I'm not letting my kids play that. So there needs to be some sort of Christian alternative.
And in my game too, the women are not men. that's the whole pagan thing, that the equality. It's not equality, it's erasing women.
Right.
It cracks me up that women wield battle axes just like men. No, that's not my game. The women are weaker physically, and they have other abilities they use, and most of them are like mothering, caring for, supportive, helping, and that's their role. I beautiful comment from someone on YouTube about a woman who plays in D&D, and she read my thing, and she really, she didn't play my game, but she really was enamored that I made her understand that she's a woman. And so in the game, her game, she played a bard or something. So she began supporting the men characters and found a better relationship with the group that way, and that the men were treating her better. And so that was a wonderful note, even though, I couldn't get her to play this, but probably because there's not enough people there. She's just a player. But that was kind of cool.
And I mean, you're gonna have your Deborahs, your Joan of Arcs. that's there, but very rare. And still, you can take the best female UFC fighter right now and put her up against the worst male UFC fighter. She's going to be obliterated. It's not even going to be a challenge.
Well, Joan of Arc was never a warrior.
Yeah. Well, I sounded dumb there, so I might have to edit that part out.
Wait, what?
I said, well, I sounded dumb there, so I might have to edit that out.
No, and I think it's good that you say that, because it's fine. But she was not a warrior. She was an inspiration to all the men around her. That's what she was. So people claim she's a warrior, but no, she was not a warrior. So I mean, no, I'm glad I think that's fine.
Well, we'll leave it. We'll leave it in. I sound dumb all the time on here, anyways. People will know. They're like, "It's Twitchy being Twitchy."
Well, some will argue against me too. She was a warrior. She wore armor. No, she was not a warrior. There's nothing in there that says she was a warrior. She, they wanted her to be protected. She wanted to go in the battle. She was very smart. She was brilliant, but she was not up front fighting as much as she was inspiring them all to fight with, around her. So, and
with that said, I don't think that women ought to be in the frontline military and stuff like that either. Like, it's absolutely.
I don't think they should be cops. They should not be cops.
The only good argument that I've heard for women being cops was like, who you gonna have search the women? To be fair, I would rather have a chick searching the chick instead of a dude who might, touch her inappropriately or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the search is going to be inappropriate nonetheless. So
that's fair.
I mean, the women can complain all that, whatever. I don't really care about that. But I don't even think, when I see the bringing up, the young girl playing on football team, I'm like, no, she's going to hit a wall at some point and waste her time. It's a waste of time for her. Anyway, that's an off topic. I want to get back to something that really joyful about my game. And this is something free for every Christian. I have a apocalyptic version, post up like a gamma world kind of thing. Same game, same rules. And then I also have a Christians in Space, and I'm using May the Lord be with you, because that's the Star Wars just stole that from us. And they are I still every genre that we all love, and it works in this game. I have a timeline kind of letting you all know where things fit in. I'm talking Warhammer 40K, Aliens, Terminator, zombies, space horror, post-apocalyptic, mutants. All of that can fit into this, and it's biblically adherent. There's it goes from the Dark Ages to today to the future, but it's all the same game rules, and you can pick your genre and put it into this game. But I want to do Warhammer 40K. I want to do you don't do Warhammer 40K, but you do something that feels like Warhammer 40K.
Right.
So in my sci-fi, for instance, 2500 AD, the atheists have gone out and done terraforming, and the Christians were left on Earth, nuked, and that's a post-apocalyptic setting. But the Christians rebuilt Earth for a couple hundred years, and then they realized they got to go back out into space and start doing missionary work in space, where all the atheists have fled to, and and are doing terraforming and genetic modifications, so they can have aliens. They can have sharkmen, dogmen, all the weird stuff. And they're all on their little disparate planets, on their little colonies, and their little ancient mining facilities, and their little killer robots and mutant bugs, and you can go out there and do missionary. We have a whole series on my YouTube channel where we play that. 3 seasons now, 70 plus episodes of live play. I mean, they're I don't edit them or anything. They're just like us goofing around, but it's so much fun. Christians in space sci-fi with aliens, but it's all earth-based life forms that have been and atheists who hate Christianity and try to erase it.
Yo, that's genius. That's brilliant. I haven't heard of that one. That's really cool. And I don't know. I like them both. I'm a huge Star Trek / Star Wars fan. I love them both. So, and I love fantasy stuff. So it's like you got me hooked there both ways. My question is, my favorite part of Dungeons and Dragons is the combat, specifically with the map. It's like a big giant game of chess. If you like methed it up or something, like you just, it's like chess on crack. So is there combat in the game, or how do you work that? Similar combat rules? Yep. Very hardcore, very gruesome. You can die. I don't mind we fail. I don't mind. It's not sacred to me what we do, because God, like I said before, God's got this. We just loved the Lord. I feel like when Jesus gave us the commission, I don't feel like he said it seriously. I'm joking, but I feel like he said, well, if you're gonna do something, fine, do this. I've got it. But if you're since you love me so much, okay, fine, go, spread the gospel. But anyway, so the combat is D20 plus your ability score. I call it traits. And damages the weapons are D6, D8, D10, D12, whatever. There's a defense, but you also get an armor save. Defense is armor class, but you also get an armor save. So if you get hit, you get to roll and reduce the damage a little. On a nat 20, it gets really dangerous because you get double damage, but then you also do like a minus D4, minus D6, minus D8 on you. So that's permanent. And can degrade and kill you if you get up to D12, a negative D12, on your rolls. Yeah. And so if you go past that, like another crit or whatever, you're dead. No save, no nothing. And you can reduce it by getting rid of, sacrificing your shield or reducing your armor save. So there's a beat down going on in the battles. There's also, they call it death saves in D&D. I call it life saves, but very similar rule when you get hit 0 hit points. And the hit points in my game too are very low. They're 14, like 15, 16. None of them are above 20ish, around, even though they've been playing 70 episodes, some of them have about 20 hit points or so. So the hit points are really low. So you're like, yeah, it's more realistic. You're not going to get hit. You're not going to have 80, 100 hit points you're not going to get hit 10, 20 times with a battle axe and not, be laying there. Yeah. And in the Dark Ages, I try to kind of keep the creatures like prehistoric or zombie. Zombie's fine because you drugged out or diseased person, brain dead. All that kind of stuff's fine for me personally. And then I have demons. I've incorporated actual demons in it, but rarely, hopefully. But in my a post-apocalyptic and on, you can have whatever you want. You can have a red dragon. You can have because they're also mutations basically. Right. So and then sci-fi, the atheists, created super AIs, and the super AIs went mad and created Tyranids or Zergs or whatever you want, and they spread those across the planets. So now you have this. I call them biodreads. You have a biodread infestation, and you got to deal with that. So, hardcore battles. Here's something that's going to blow your mind, or it should anyway. If I can show this image here, is that the spaceships and the people are fully integrated in the fights. The spaceship is actually, I gotta find the page. Why am I having a hard time? The spaceships are actually the battle maps. So when you have two spaceships going up against each other, you're running around in the ship while shooting at each other. Let me just show you one pit.
But that's the ship they go in, and that's been attacked. Oh, you can see, and it's been attacked, boarded. They run around in it. They got to repair parts.
I'll do that one time. I'm going to remove myself.
Okay, so you can see that all the ships are basically battle maps, and they're in there doing they got the chapel, they got the barracks, they can do cooking, but they can also attack other ships, and that ship can attack them, and they can crash into each other and board and fight, and it's been awesome.
Nice.
And they don't like ship battles because they're brutal, because it's just like a real battle. Like as soon as something gets hit, that part is destroyed, and they got to go repair it and fix it, and and deal with that. And but yeah, I really love the way I've integrated. I'm not trying to say I'm a genius. I just was sitting here fretting, for years about not having a Christian role-playing game. But then but the way I have the ships is I just love it, because in Star Wars, for instance, Star Wars, when you play, you separate out the ships from the people. So when you have a ship battle, it's separate from the way when you have people fighting, combat. So
yeah,
and that's the way I've always, had sci-fi games. But in mine, I'm like, I love the scene in Empire Strikes Back where they're being chased in the Millennium Falcon and they're trying to repair the ship at the same time. And things are getting blown. I just love that has always stuck with me. So I wanted to recreate that type of sense. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. And one thing I really enjoy about this is, like, as a post-mill guy who highly emphasizes spreading the gospel, we really emphasize the Great Commission. I actually got a debate on that with my pastor in January, so that'll be fun.
With my pastor.
Yeah, I met with him today, and he was like, yeah, I've been reading this book and studying for our post mill debate. And man, I instantly just got scared. I was like, oh no, he's gonna whoop me. But I like the idea of this game, because it's like, for me and my family and my kids, like, our goal is to spread the gospel to the ends of the earth, and we can practice that. We can practice that here, and hashtag that post mill. We're gonna do it. We're gonna win.
Yeah, and just have fun. And I would love for, like, whether it's this game or any other, a role-playing game where it's missionary work, church planning, and you have a group at your church, and and then you go out to conventions with your group, and and then you go, we're just evangelizing. That's all we're doing, and then we're having fun too, playing. If you just want to take the evangelism mechanics and the church planning mechanics out of my game, you can get it off on my Dark Ages PDF for free, or create your own. I don't care, but evangelism, church planning, and Jesus in there. That's the game I want. I don't want to play Dungeons and Dragons anymore. I just don't have any interest in an ancient red dragon. Doesn't scare me or impress me anymore. What impresses me is a feral bear coming at you. That's more frightening than a big ancient red dragon. I just don't really care anymore about that. And I don't care to play anything unless it has Christianity in it.
Yeah.
Christ. Like, I have an alien RPG, and I'm kind of semi intrigued to play it again, but only because it's Earth based. So I can definitely make a Christian in there, even though it barely mentions Christianity. But other than that, I'd rather just do my Christians in space. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to checking it out. And let's see. I'm going to share my screen so that people can see where they can find some of your stuff. Let's see. So guys, go here to storytellingron.com/for-the-Lord-RPG, and you can check out all of these games that were mentioned. And what are these? This is
those are my campaign books where I give you examples of adventures and settings and stuff.
Nice. And that's very helpful, because making things up as a dungeon master, it's really hard.
Yeah, I try to keep it simple. I the one thing just to warn everybody is we have a die rank and a die rank results, or die rank system, and that's the part that is my solve for the. Usually when you go up in your skills, you get +2, +3, +4, +5, right? And it goes up 7. But at some point, all of them agree on this, that you just have to stop playing at 10th level or whatever and then start over again because they become too powerful. And then you have to make super demons or ultra super demons and then ultra super demons to even fight them. And so I solved that. I solved that with this die rank system. So instead of getting a +1, +2, +3, you do get a +1, +2, +3 from traits, which is ability scores, but your skills go up with die ranks. So D4, D6, D8, D10, D12. It goes up that way. And it turns into a dice pool if you go even further than that. So sorry I'm making this convoluted here, but if you get 7 die ranks, from your skills, your blessing, your gear or whatever, 7 die ranks is, D4, D6, D8, D10, D12. You get a D12 and then you have 2 left over. So a D4, a D6. So a D12 and a D6, you get to add that to the roll, but you only keep the highest. You don't keep both of them. You just keep the highest of those 2. So it's a dice pool. The reason I do that, and it does sound a little hard and convoluted, but if you really get it, if you really understand it and try it out, it diffuses those bonuses. So you're still upgrading, but it becomes a bell curve that's really nice and diffused, because the range is going to be from 1 to 12, your bonus,
Right. So like to put it into perspective that people who don't play D&D as much might understand, Usain Bolt will dust me every time, but he will never outrun an antelope, which is why you need that cap, right?
Wait, say it again. A bull.
So Usain Bolt, the Olympic runner, he'll outrun me every time because obviously he has more skill ranks there. He's got the D12 and I got like a D4, right? But he'll never outrun an antelope. An antelope is always going to be faster than human, and bears are always going to be stronger than humans, stuff like that. So there's got to be like a cap. That's what I'm saying.
The cap is that as you add more and more die ranks to your thing, it gets more and more into a dice pool. It becomes more and more diffused. But you still can do it if you want.
Yeah.
That analogy is tricky because of Bolt will do a prayer, someone get some better gear, he'll get a scooter, what? No, I'm just kidding, but whatever.
I want a scooter. Yeah, it's dope.
To race against the antelope, because if he gets to add gear, then he'll get to do that. But anyway, I just wanted to use the die ranks because I wanted the characters to be long campaigns, which is probably not. Most people play, it seems like today, short things. So that might be a strange miscalculation on my part. But as Christians, we believe in life, so we believe in long term. So I'm sticking with it. You can have this character for a long, long time and keep adding. You keep upgrading it, but even as you do, somebody new starting at level 0 can come and join you, and still be part of the team. Because even as you're like a super advanced dude with all these upgrades, you're still weak, you're still fragile, you still can make not succeed. So that's a great thing. But you have an average. Your average is to succeed a little more often.
Yeah.
But you don't feel like this cap thing or a superhero thing, and I love that aspect of it. Yeah. So that's one thing you just got to grasp, and then once you grasp that, I feel like the game is very easy. You don't need charts. The only chart I need is the fumbles chart, which is 1 through 6, and I can never remember it, even though we use it 10 times a game, and hilariously.
So what is that? The fumbles chart?
Yeah, if you roll a nat 1 and you got to do a fumble, so we roll a die 6 to pick which one you.
Nice. Okay.
I think maybe because my brain goes down and as I'm laughing, I can't remember it. But we always have to refer back to that chart. But I never have to refer to anything because of the die ranks and the die rank system that I'm using. I never have to refer to any charts for rules or anything. So
nice. Can you tell us about this? Let's see. We got Alfred, the boy who would be king.
Yeah, that's my fantasy series for kids. But it does come back around. Well, he's from Earth, so it does come back around to Earth and my faith and all. But he's like kind of It's a cross between Lord of the Rings and Narnia. Very epic, huge. I really read it secretly. I wrote it for adults, so I think adults could really enjoy this because there's brutal, not brutal like it's PG-ish, PG-13 maybe, but there's tough, fun combat and battles and knights and adults. Alfred is around a lot of adults who have their issues, and I explore those issues as well.
Nice. So what age group would you suggest, like
9 and up?
9? Okay.
I have 9-year-olds read it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Here,
and these down here, what about these?
Oh, anyway, this is the Alfred books right here. So, and I just finished 6. We're editing 6, and 7 will be the final one. But so they're nice and thick.
Nice, yeah.
But I really recommend them for adults too, because I just wrote them as what my version of Lord of the Rings, in a sense. And yeah, Alfred is Earth-based going into a fantasy world and having to help them, kind of like Mark Twain's Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court kind of thing, or whatever Yankee and King Arthur's Court, that story. Anyway.
So while we're talking about books, this gives me a good opportunity to encourage you all to check out the 7 Points of Calvinism, and you can check that out on Amazon.com. That's the paperback, and here's the hardback version. So check that out. Also, don't forget, the only thing more sinful than letting pagans take over the culture is not taking care of your beard. So please go to snakecrusherproducts.online and use promo code Twitchy25 for 25% off. That's right, 25% off. They're a good, solid Christian company based off of Genesis 3:15, and the seed of the woman shall crush the head of the snake. So check them out, snakecrusherproducts.online, promo code Twitchy25 for 25% off.
Wait, what is that stuff? What is it? It's beard stuff? What is it?
Yes, it's beard oil, and they have pomade, they have tattoo balm, they have
I don't need that.
Shave, what is that? Beef tallow body butter.
Oh, okay.
Women love that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think someone called it white lady crack or something, because
I've ordered some of that stuff from another place, so I'll check that place out. Yeah.
Yo, I appreciate that, for real. Snakecrusherproducts.online. Here, let me pull it back up for you.
All right, I'll get it from you.
All right.
Cool.
And I'm definitely going to be getting some of this stuff, and I probably will get some of the RPG stuff because I love it. And these books, I don't have time to read because I'm taking my MDiv, but I will definitely want to read it eventually. Tell me about this one real quick. Conquest of the Evermire.
Yeah, those ones I started early on as like a fun pulp short thin books, and they're very D&D-ish. So they're very D&D, but I do tie them in with Alfred at some point. So they're but they're kind of just fun.
And I noticed this one's called The Church.
Yeah, so there is a church there. And so in that world, by the way, in that world, I do an alternate sort of parallel universe sort of Christian faith thing there, but very light, so yeah, there's that,
All right, yeah, love it. And creation tours, and
I'll go back to
sorry, go back to what?
Go to more. I forgot where I put it. Go to more on the right.
All right.
Night of the Dead there.
Night of the Dead. Got it.
All right. This one I'd recommend for you or definitely for dads. It's my zombie apocalypse in Hollywood today, and the dad there is a guy who's a medieval armored reenactor fighting zombies.
Yo, that's sick. I love it.
It's very, very R-rated for brutal descriptions, a lot of murderous zombie horrifying stuff. So this is very R-rated. There's a little bit of sexual innuendo, but nothing, I don't really go. It's marriage and stuff, but desperate, it's sadness. But there's a family. There's it's very R-rated though. But it's very Christian though. He's a Christian trying to deal with the end times, or what he thinks is the end times, and and what's going on. So
dude, that is awesome. I'm gonna check that out. And this the other day I was watching with my kids the UFC type thing where they dress up in the full armor and they fight each other.
Yeah, I'm a part of that, but I'm kind of retiring myself out, just
nice.
Mainly because, as you can see right here, I got all the stuff.
Yeah. Notice that behind you. So that's
the guy.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy that just won. I think he won the 200-pound weight or whatever. He's at the place, my group, and I practice with him or fight with him and work with him. But I don't do any more. The main reason I don't do it actually is, well, I'm getting tired of the sweat and grit of it all, but mainly because I want to spend more time with church and with my wife. I just, that's more of my focus. It's a time
crunch. North Carolina.
What's that?
I would love if they did that in North Carolina, because I've always been a fighter. Like I used to do a little bit of boxing and UFC type stuff, and I've always loved medieval fantasy. So combining the two would be really fun to me.
I'm sure there's a group up there somewhere. I don't know. They're all over. Little fighting clubs, but it's a time crunch to do it. You got to go, and it's a lot of work.
A lot of money too, I bet.
Yeah, for the armor and the weapons and all that. But anyway.
But yeah, so
Night of the Dead. Yeah,
I'm just gonna go ahead and open that up in a new tab, and I'm gonna check that out. And let's see, we got the Star Wars RPG.
That's all my older D&D stuff that I left. I just left that in there for people that want to go to. It's fine.
Yeah, might as well. And the shop and the For the Lord RPG shop. So yeah, guys, go check that out. And you got free character sheets. It looks like you just sign up.
Yeah, sign up for my email, newsletter, which I really don't do anymore. So I have email. I have a really big email list, but I only have the 250 emails a month, serve, and I don't want to pay any more for it. So I'm just like, so even if you sign up, I don't think you'll be getting much from me. So.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. I'm definitely gonna check some of that out. We've spent all this time talking about being missionaries, sharing the gospel, and all of that. As we're winding down, do you mind sharing the gospel for our viewers? Maybe there's someone on here who's never heard the gospel, and they need to hear it for the first time, or maybe they have and need to hear it again.
What are you trying to test me?
Yep. See how good you are.
Well, this has been on my mind about evangelism, and I'm going to share what I recently did. And you can help me with this as well. But so this is a little like Christian tract I did, but it's really for here in Hollywood. I'm trying to change it to what I believe people are thinking about when it comes to this. So on the
contextualize it.
Yeah, on the front of this, I don't know if you guys can see this.
Let me remove my.
See if that'll focus. All right. So I made a Hollywood graphic there, and it says, "Who is God? Who is Jesus? And what did he do? The Bible is so confusing and old. Every religion claims they're right. What is church? It's boring. Why go?" So answers. God created everything. Time, space, matter. He created good and evil, and he wants us to know him. The Bible is his message to us. And the reason I put in good and evil is because that's something just that they think, or a lot of people think. Why did he create evil? So I just wanted to let them know we are aware of that, accusation, and we have answers for that. Jesus walked the earth as God. He walked and talked and suffered along with us. He's the only God to do so, and he had many become his witnesses. And so the reason I say it that way is because when people say Jesus died for our sins, today people don't understand what that means. They don't understand what sin is. They don't understand why you have to die for somebody. So I'm just trying to word it in a way that they understand. He walked and talked and suffered along with us. So I'm not trying to take away the gospel. I'm just trying to get a step back. Like I'm trying to do what Paul did with the Gentiles. versus the Jews, the wording. The Bible has many styles of ancient writing and so many historical references. It's the number one book printed, smuggled, translated, downloaded, burned, and number one in every other category. Right, but simply which is shown a global and historical force for good, honesty, charity, compassion. The source of freedom and rights in the West come from the church. Church is where people gather for help to read the Bible, help with their problems, help with their issues, to talk, to get encouragement, to get and give support, and to help the community. So then church fellowship, freedom in Christ, spiritual gifts. We each have our own way of serving. We are not compelled or forced. Leadership is defined as service, not control. The pastor and elders do not control us. They lead to serve. Faith, not works. We are not required to convert anyone or follow rituals. We know Jesus loves us, and we are saved already. We want to spread the good news of Jesus as Savior. Church is set up with rules and voting. There is no dictatorship. And at the back, we are building a good biblical, this is because we hand this out. We are building a good biblical church, a group for good and compassion. We are traditional and adhere to God's word. The Bible warns of many false churches catering to all kinds of different beliefs. Trust us to follow strong convictions for traditional marriage, careful compassion, and family support. We have men's and women's fellowships for those wanting to learn Christian beliefs freely without compulsion by other worldly agendas. Try our service or fellowships and get a free Bible. So that's my version of the gospel, in the sense of trying to appeal to people locally in this city, because they're so further removed than what our traditional gospel saying is. You're a sinner, you need Christ as your savior. Those things, they don't understand those concepts. So I'm trying to kind of step back a little bit with this track. So that's my
right. We're trying to get them we're trying to move them from where they have no knowledge to some knowledge, and then we can explain all this, the intricacies of what is sin, what is penal substitutionary atonement, why is the resurrection necessary, all this other stuff. Yeah. I have one question.
We're just one last thing. The church, they're always define, or even when I was a non-Christian, I never trusted the church, and I went in, and that's because they're being told that it's a cult or controlling, and pastors are controlling. That's not the case. That's not how our church works. So I just wanted to let them know that's just to get them in the door. But anyway, go ahead.
So I have one question. What was the part about God creating? I have to. Maybe I misheard something.
God created everything, time, space, matter. He created good and evil, and he wants us to know him. The Bible is his message to us.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he created good and evil, because the sin brings the evil in. So I would probably nuance that a little bit, but that would be my only critique, so to speak.
Yeah, I've had you and two others mention that more than versus anything else, and the reason I'm going to keep it in there, but if I get some more from brothers, I will certainly. And my pastor is fine with it. But I'll certainly take it to heart. The reason I'm saying is because that's the way they think. And so I want them to know we are aware of that, that simplicity of it. But we have an answer that evil is, he doesn't believe in evil or create evil, or he does create things, though, that are wrong. He created Satan. He created the wicked amongst us. He created death. So in that sense, he created evil, because those are just, I don't know how else to say it.
Right. So he created Satan, knowing that Satan was going to fall, tempt Adam and Eve, and then bring about the fall. So if you want to draw it all the way back, God is definitely sovereign over the fact that evil exists in this world. Yeah. There's no way around that, even in an Arminian standpoint. Now, open theists could get around it, because in the open theist world, God was just like, "Oh, I didn't even know evil was going to happen. Sorry."
Yeah, I'm not ashamed of the tough love of what he has, and I'm not ashamed of it all. I'm personally.
And I know in Isaiah he says, "I create light, I create darkness, I create good, I create evil."
He says,
it says that in Isaiah. It's in that passage. I would argue that it's talking about calamity, because like natural evil, not like
Well,
moral
evil. The power of evil, if we want to go into this, is death. That's the power of any evil, accidental or purposely. I can't put evil on you unless you fear death, unless I have the power of death over you. Like I cannot do anything to you evilly unless I have the power of death over you. You know, I can't threaten you. I can manipulate you, but at some point, if you understand that, I wouldn't have any more power over you unless I could threaten you with death.
Right.
You know, so the source of evil for anything is that ending that permeates this world. You know, death was brought into the world now. So just to lay that out there, the definition of evil is death, really, or the source of it, the power of it.
Yeah. And I think it was Augustine who was talking about the sin or evils, like the deprivation of that which is good, and God being light, and he created everything and said, this is good. That's the only reason I would want to nuance that just a little bit, so that they wouldn't blame God and be like, oh man, if it wasn't for God being a big meanie, all this wouldn't be here. But then to push back against my pushback, I believe God is sovereign over all things, and that he wrote our days in his book before there was yet one of them. Psalm 139:16 or Job 14:5. He determines our days and he sets our limits that we cannot go past. So all of that is important, necessary, and true. I just want to throw out that slight critique. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah. No, I don't mind. I'm just going to take that and
file it wherever you want, bro. You can file it, throw it away. That's fine.
It's just something that I've heard often. They don't like how God created evil. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, then he'd have to, if you want him to end evil, he's going to have to end you and me.
Right.
So, because we're the evil ones.
Absolutely.
I mean, our sin, so, but it's just and
then they'll be mad about the flood.
Huh?
Then they'll be mad about the flood. Like the one time he was like, I'm about to just crush all the evil in the world, other than these one family. They get mad about that. Like, look, God did that. It's like, well, you want him to stop evil, but then when he stops evil, you get ticked off about it. Make up your mind.
So it's just it's meant to be a discussion point and one that we are aware of your concern. We are aware of your concern. That's kind of where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I've been working on tracks myself. They're not as pretty.
Just use AI. It's all AI. I use AI. I asked it to do a like Weeble Wobble or mobile simple graphics of people talking, and I use ChatGPT for it.
Nice.
Just AI. These are all AI. The little Jesus. I got to describe what I want, and it gets close enough that that's what I use. But
I've been using Canva, which is what I do my thumbnails on, and they're mediocre designs, but
but you can just go to AI, get it, and then put it into Canva and fix it up, cut and paste whatever you need out of it. I do definitely components of, so that I gotta add it together, change it. I mean, it's funny, in all of my games I drew everything. I drew all the cartoony characters and stuff. But I'm kind of tired, so I'm just gonna start using AI for a lot of it if I can. The
only thing I definitely tell people don't use AI for is sermons and lyrics. If you use AI for lyrics, I will spot it a mile away, because their cadence is very simple. Their metaphors are the same metaphors every time. I can spot AI a mile away, and AI doesn't know how to rap. I do, so
that's that. Well, I don't know anything about that. I definitely use AI for a lot of things. I'm getting it right now to help me clean up the rules and sort of come full circle, make me understand and try to cut it so cleanly that I can, that you and everyone else, this kind of a.
Sorry, could you repeat that? You lagged just a little bit. I missed it.
I'm using AI right now to clean up my rules, and then also I'm going to give everybody a link so they can go in and ask the AI questions about the rules. So they'll have their own tutor or, explainer. So I'm working on that right now.
Nice. I like that. Okay.
Yeah. And you could I need an adventure. It'll just give you whatever you need. And the reason I'm doing it is because I know D&D and all these others have 1,000 adventure modules, and I just don't have 1,000. And but the main thing is helping with understanding the rules, or getting But it's once you get it, man, it's only, my rules are only about 12 pages.
That's not bad at all.
It's the rest of it is just trying to add, me just adding content, and ideas and the GM guide and all that. But the rules themselves are 12 pages or something like that. It's not that much.
I'm used to reading a rule book that's hundreds of pages. It's insane.
Yeah, no, the Christians in Space one has a lot more rules only because it has spaceships and bombs and I have to kind of figure that out. Planetary travel. But the rules in my Dark Ages is just the first. I'm trying to just grabbing the pages here. Let me see. Yep. Just this much of this whole book is rules for making characters and combat and action. That's it. It's just this much, So
it's not bad at all.
It is very simple. But it fits right in with D&D and OSRs. I can translate an OSR game into my game, or vice versa.
What's OSR?
Old school revival, like the old D&D.
Okay.
Just it's this, the D20, D6, D8, D10 damage. It's the same thing.
Yeah. See, I started in 3.5. And then I didn't get back into it until 5th edition. And then in 5th edition, I was angry because I was like, there's no math. It's too easy. Advantage. What do you mean I don't get a +2 for flanking? Are you serious? Right. They changed so much and made it so much more simplistic because of Roll20 and all this other stuff, trying to popularize it. I'm like, it's not supposed to be popular. It's for nerds, okay?
Yeah, the simplifying of it has definitely changed the way people look at RPGs now. But what's funny is D&D 5e has really gotten more and more complicated because they keep adding more stuff. It keeps getting, especially when you make your characters, everything's so controlled in there.
Yeah,
in my game, you can make up any skill you want. I want to do sewing. Okay, start. You get a D20, you get your trait, which is an intellect for crafting, and then start adding die ranks, buying die ranks to do sewing or leather repair or ship engine repair or whatever you want. You can create any skills you want.
Speaking of that, I got a deer hide downstairs that I need to stretch. I don't know, man. I was like, well, I got this dough. I want to use every part of it. And I want to somehow use the hide to, those little zip up Bible covers, carriers. I want to use the hide for that. And so I had to tan it first. And when you're tanning it, you got to stretch it out and stuff so it's workable and stays soft. So I just thought about that. Do what?
Tanning skill and then a separate leather working school.
Yep. I'm always working on something, man. Usually it's I'm actually working on a book right now. It's a Christology book. And I've really been focused on refuting the Unitarians and Jehovah's Witnesses. So I got a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, heresies are bug the heck out of me, but I don't delve into them too much. But they're out there. I mean, in 6th century Italy, the actual real church, and I consider the real church before it really got Catholic. The early church. It was literally shrunken into a handful of people in Rome for a short period. That was it, because the heresies were taking over it was crazy. But I think it was Pope Abbott or whoever, not Abbott, Gregory the Pope or somebody did this cool maneuver behind them up into the northern Italy and German area and converted them to his church, and then that changed it all. But it was crazy, like this, you know. It was a blurb I read, but it was kind of crazy reading that and like, what? But there was a moment where the heresies were about to take over the entire Christian faith.
Yeah, there was definitely a moment with like Arianism, and
some others,
Athanasius standing and standing firm there, and that led to Nicaea, and then I want to say it was Nestorianism after that got really, really big. And there's actually, if I'm remembering correctly from my missions class, I think there's a Nestorian church that was established in Ethiopia and one that was established in China for like a long, long time, but then it got stamped out. I don't know. Real interesting stuff there.
Yeah, it's crazy. All that. Yeah. Anyway, so that's overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, I got to hop off here. I really appreciate your time. It was an honor. Guys, please check out forthelordrpg.com, right? Forthelordrpg.com?
No, storytellingron.com.
Storytellingron.com. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, brother. And
I guess I passed, huh? Did I pass?
You passed. You passed.
Okay. At least. All right, cool.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all watching. Please check out his website. And don't forget, it's brought to you by snakecrusherproducts.online. Use promo code Twitchy25 for 25% off. And until next time, you stay twitchy, Internet.